Did you know that in Minecraft it would take 17,513 years to explore all the worlds ever generated? You're listening to the Xbox Hub Podcast, the official podcast of the TheXboxHub.com. For all the latest Xbox news, reviews, videos and opinions, make sure you visit the TheXboxHub.com. But for now, settle down, get comfy, and open your ears for some podcast delights. Hello and welcome to the Xbox Hub Official Podcast, episode 206. My name's Gareth Briney. I'm going to be your host, and on my virtual left is Mr. Richard Dobson. How you doing, Richard?
Oh, hello. I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm very good. Swapped it around then. And on my virtual right is Mr. Darren Edwards. How you doing, Darren?
Hi, Gareth. I won't take that as a slight on my character. I'm very well. How are you?
I'm very good. Put you on the right. Yeah. Now the election's changed in the UK. I'll put you on the right now.
I'm going to start chanting "Stop the votes" in a minute if you can like this.
Good. I'm very good. And let's chat about what's been going on the last week. It's kind of still quiet gaming front, but we've been playing some good stuff, I think. But how's your week been, Richard?
Fairly relaxed. I am now unemployed, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. And I've had a second job interview today for a company in Bolton. It's about an hour away from where I live. The interview was an intense 2 hours and then an hour's drive back, so I am very tired.
You made it on, which is good. Well, good luck with the job interview. Oh, sorry about the redundancy from all of us here.
No?
From all of us here at the Xbox Hub. It's generally us at the moment.
HR will send the card, Richard. I think that's what Gareth's trying to say.
No, thanks, HR.
Darren, how's your week been?
Yeah, not too bad. So mostly work, but I don't know what's wrong with me at the minute. So our front garden, we've got a driveway, and it's the shape of house bricks, and they kind of go side by side a bit like Tetris blocks. So in between you get loads of weeds and stuff that comes up, and we haven't given it any attention for ages. So I bought this brush with metal bristles from Wix for about £8, and it's like a video game. I realized I've become addicted to sweeping out the weeds from in between all the bricks and getting it like perfect. And we did it in 3 stages and finished it last night. And every time I look out the front window, it's unbelievably satisfying to see the drive clear of weeds for the first time in, I won't tell you how long, because it's embarrassing. So that has been a personal win this week. And then we're off in our August in a few weeks. So we're saving for the wedding next year, but we've booked a few days away in Berlin, got a cheap deal for a mini break. So I've never been, but everyone says it's amazing. So I'm looking forward to escaping for a few days in August.
God, it's good. I've been to Berlin. It's lovely in Berlin. It's great. You have a great time.
Can't wait.
Yeah. Good. There you go. What have I been doing this last week? I went to a wedding that I did the favour by doing the photographs for. Never do that again in my life. Never do the photographs again. It's the most stressful thing I've ever done in my life. And also, you're just working all day. All you do, it's still about 8 o'clock. People go, "Can you do a couple more shots of the what?" I can't see myself. I can't see anything. I've been doing this all day. I did it as a favour. Even at one point, I got introduced as a photographer. No, I'm not the photographer. I'm your friend. Yeah, so that's good. Never do that again. It's good. And now I've got to put together. Now I've got to show them the pictures, and I don't know how to do it. I don't know how to do it in a big lot. But yeah, anyway, I'm just going to avoid that. Games we've been playing. What have we been playing? I think me and Richard have played the same kind of game, but let's start with Richard anyway. Richard, you can do the first one. What have you been playing?
Okay, I just feel really guilty now because, obviously, being home all day means I've played quite a bit. But good. Darren is there saying he's working, he's gardening on an evening, and I'm like, oh, that's really what I should be doing because I have the same driveway and it's the same state as well.
It's a once in a 3-year occurrence. Don't worry, it won't happen again for a long time.
That's good to know. So I've been playing, and I'm currently writing up my review for Poppy Playtime Chapter 1. That is now finally on Xbox. I've spoke about it numerous times on here, but I'm very glad it's now on Xbox and I've been able to play it. It's a very short game. I think it took me, now that I know what I'm doing and I haven't played it before, 30 minutes to do chapter 1.
Wow.
But it's basically the story is you arrive at an abandoned toy factory. You get invited to come and check out this abandoned toy factory where all the staff mysteriously disappeared about 10 years ago. And you're not sure why, but you're sort of trying to piece together the mystery around it all. And you arrive in the lobby. There's a quick puzzle to get through, and then you get into the foyer where all the main departments go off. And in the middle is this, what can only be described as 10-foot tall giant plushie called Huggy Wuggy, who's like a bright blue, gangly, very cute looking teddy that I'm sure you'll have seen on all these knockoff stalls around city centres. And he's in the lobby. You go off to unlock some doors, and then when you return, he's got a key for you to unlock another door. So you open that door, do another puzzle there, and then when you return, he's not there anymore. And you're like, oh, maybe he's playing with me a little bit here. Carry on through the level, and then you get to the end, and there's a big chase where suddenly this Huggy Wuggy has got massive teeth and is chasing you down, and it's quite tense. As I've just played all the Garten of Ban games, the 4 of those that are on Xbox as well, it's all about this like subgenre that's popping up really from Five Nights at Freddy called mascot horror, where they have like these cute looking mascots, but they all turn out to be crazy killers basically. And I don't know, I seem to have backed myself into a corner with them now, but it's Poppy Playtime that really got me interested in this subgenre of horror games. So I'm delighted it's on Xbox now, because it's still the best one that I've played by a long way, and I'm just so invested in the lore. I know that there's chapters 2 and 3 on PC, but I'm just waiting for those to come to Xbox as well.
You love this, don't you? You're into these games.
Wow. Yeah, and I'm not sure why, but I am for some reason.
I like it. I like you've got this kind of weird fetish for these
That's what it is.
Mascot horrors. Good, there you go. Darren, what's your weird fetish game?
It's a bit early for that. But I was going to say, it sounded like Five Nights at Freddy's, so it's interesting that there's like a subgenre now from it. It's not just a coincidence. I wasn't aware of that. Very interesting. My first game was Go Jump. So it's an East Asia soft game, and essentially you play as I can't remember, I think he's a lion. No, he's a dog. And basically he wants to become a jump master, and he has to go around earning jump badges by surviving these endurance tests. And it's very Pokemon, just without, because at one point he says he's got to collect them all, and I was almost like, hope the Nintendo lawyers aren't listening. But that's the setup anyway. And you face off against, I think it's 9 of these jump masters. And essentially all there is to it is you move left and right and you jump. That is it. So it's really, really simple, which is its blessing and also its curse, I think, at the same time. So each of the trials is split into 3 parts. And after each part, there'll be like a bit of a cutscene, and it'll be a checkpoint, so you won't have to start from the very beginning if you do lose. And you just jump and avoid projectiles as they come. So it might be little tanks firing at you, it might be penguins sliding over the ice to trip you up, or whatever it is. It plays out on a 2D plane, but there are 3D elements to it, with hazards coming from the background and as well from the foreground. So it's quite fun, but it's quite limited as well. And on the menu, there's several modes in terms of you can play like survival and challenge mode and boss rush. But what I found a little bit misrepresentative was the fact that boss rush, for example, you play against each boss one after the other, but each level or trial is just you playing against that character anyway. So it's very much the same thing, and they've tried to package it into different modes. Survival is just the same, but you obviously just go as far as you can without getting hit. And challenge mode is just avoid so many of these types of projectiles or these types of hazards, which you kind of do in the main campaign anyway, really. So it's fun, but it's very, very limited fun, I'd say. And I think I gave it 3 out of 5. So it was simple enough, but it just didn't really go anywhere after the first half an hour, if I can put it that way.
Well, okay. I'll tell you a little secret. What happens here? When you sometimes we mention games or people are talking about games, I quickly look on the computer. I'm working with this and recording this on, and I look at the game and look for an image of the game so I can, while they're talking, I can have it in my head. Oh yeah, this is so interesting. And I did that then. I was going, God, the graphics are really realistic in this. And actually, Go Jump is an actual place, like a place where people go, obviously, and like a play area. Yeah. So
I was going to say, no, the graphics.
I thought this is amazing. It's like Unreal Engine 5 kind of game. It's like that. No,
not that one.
Yeah. Good. There you go. Go Jump. It's been a little good couple of weeks for Game Pass. I think there's been a lot of games that they've come out with. We had in sort of 1 week, I think, which I'll talk about in a minute, Dungeons of Hinterberg and Flintlock, and then there was the Capcom game that I can't pronounce that I think Paul might be reviewed, and already at today, yesterday was Call of Duty, which we knew was coming. Modern Warfare 3 is out on Game Pass now, so it's been a bit of a bumper month at the moment. But I'm going to chat about last week, Dungeons of Hinterberg, and I was kind of interested in this game for a while, but it surprised me of the whole concept of it. So the whole concept of it is in the world, there's in certain locations these dungeons have appeared, and in this place in Hinterberg, it's like a fictional village, which was like a tourist joint in the Austrian Alps, and these 25 dungeons have appeared. And what's happened over 3 years? People have gone there, and you can sort of go on holiday and to this place and tackle these dungeons one by one if you want to, and the whole village is like a little kind of like resort for this. In the village you've got places that you can buy weapons, and and there's sort of like little statues to the creatures. And what you do, you have 2 parts of the game. It's split into morning, noon, evening, and night. And generally in the morning you have a chat with someone and talk about what you're going to do for the day. And noon is when you can go to a certain area, one of the 4 areas, and tackle one of the dungeons. And in the evening you come back to the town and you can go out. And there's sort of social sim side of it. You can go out and meet people who will give you extra. If you have a kind of like drink with someone, you might get some extra social skills, which might lead to some more health, for example. And at night time, you just go to bed. Or you can start up and read a book that would give you more social skills side of it, but you can sacrifice health for the next day because you're tired. So it has these 2 kind of elements of fighting in the dungeons, but also this kind of like sim life, kind of like social sim experience, which makes it very unique. And the whole kind of like concept of the idea is really clever. And of course, as you're kind of going through, you have these 25 dungeons, and they're leveled up, so you have to get to a point so you level up to get to a certain dungeon. But at the same time, something's is not quite right with the dungeons, and things are going wrong with the town. So there's this kind of extra big story running through it. It's quite clever. It's really clever. I like the characters. I really like the combination, the mashup of the 2. The dungeons are really different every time, which I really loved. You can kind of go into one, it would just be straight, sort of like you're just killing loads of things. Another one would be really puzzle based, so you're kind of trying to work out how to get through certain doors, unlocking things. There's one dungeon, if I remember, which is like snowboarding through it in one place. There's another dungeon that's like a Mario Galaxy world, when it's kind of like you're going through these these little planets and working out. So it's really kind of different. And I really like the kind of the social elements. It's kind of like a beautiful kind of cel shaded comic book feel to it in the visuals. Really enjoyed it. The only thing I had a trouble with is just the combat got a bit wary after a while. it has the combat. You basically meet a group of creatures and you're in a sort of like a walled off arena then, and you have to knock them out before you could get through. So you have sort of light attacks, heavy attacks. You have a dodge, and you have special abilities. You can use magic as well that you gain as you go through each level. It just got a bit. Oh, here we go, another kind of combat bit. It's not the bit I look forward to. It didn't really feel my favourite bit of the game. That was my only real criticism, but the rest of it was really good. Really good. I really like the dungeons. I'm really into it. I think I gave it a 4 out of 5. I think you've played it as well, Richard, haven't you?
Yeah, I've really enjoyed it as well. It's that whole magical realism element to it. How it's a real place in Austria, I believe, and it's just this tourist attraction sprouted up because it's all these dungeons have popped up out of nowhere. It does remind me a lot of Zelda and the various dungeons there, but the variation between the dungeons I think's really impressive. I'm yet to hit I've not obviously not done as much as you, but I've yet to hit a point where the combat's starting to grate on me. I think there's you have enough abilities to sort of mix it up a bit, but I'm just blasting through it on easy mode as well, so I've not really struggled with it either.
Yeah, and it's great minutes. You can go to an area and you don't have to do a dungeon. You can go, you walk past a nice lake and it says, "Do you want to just spend the day here?" And you can do that if you want to. It's quite a nice thing of just saying, "Okay, I'll just sit here and get some extra social points." Yeah. It's a lovely. It's a really kind of original, unique game. Really good fun. Dungeons of Hinterberg. Give it a go if you've got Game Pass. Richard, what have you got next?
I'm trying to finish off Final Fantasy VII Rebirth because you know me, these Final Fantasy games take me months at a time.
Yeah.
I am now towards the end. I've just returned to the Gold Saucer, and I got my date with the person that I wanted, so I was very pleased with that. I've still managed to avoid all spoilers, so I'm not sure how I've managed that.
Right.
But I am approaching the end now. Finally, I think I'm nearly 70 hours in though.
Right.
So it's been a big old slog, but I've enjoyed it. I think I've enjoyed it a little bit more than I enjoyed Remake as well.
Yeah, I did. I think I definitely did. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I did kind of want it to end at the end. I think it was just because I felt like I've been playing it for a long time, over a long period of time. I was stopping and starting.
Yeah.
But I really enjoyed it. I thought some really great sequences. It looks great. And I really enjoyed it. Yeah, good. Just be prepared. It's quite long, that last bit. Not as long as the other one. Yeah. But it's good. It's funny enough, I was trying to get rid of it because I can't sell it in my beloved game anymore.
Oh, yeah.
And I went down this week. I had it there. Went down to another store I can't remember the name of, and they went, "You're missing a disc," because it had 2 discs. I don't know where the other discs had gone. I was like, "Oh god, yeah." So there you go. I might be stuck with that forever. Good. Let's go, Darren. What's your second one?
So my second one is a game called Aerial Knights We Never Yield. So we talked about this in our favourite segment of upcoming games, didn't we, at the start of the month? So I reviewed the first one a few years ago, and I'm not sure if I'm using the correct terminology these days, but I always class them as on rails. So, like the old light gun games where it moved for you automatically, but instead you play as a character who runs from left to right automatically through this level, and you have to input the buttons at the right time to slide under obstacles, jump, attack through barriers, and then you can use a zip line as well. So there's like 4 different buttons, and they're all mapped to A, B, X, and Y. But this time, Wally, the character in the game, plays alongside his brother, so you're controlling 2 characters at the same time. So with the other character, you need to use the D-pad as well. So it starts off simply enough, but then when you've got characters needing to do different things at the same time, so one needs to slide and one needs to jump, it gets a bit more challenging. And I really enjoyed the first one. It's got a very distinct kind of character and personality. It's kind of set over 5 different levels, this one, and then there's challenge levels, and they're all split into 3 acts, if you like. and they run from one to the other. And then in between each act, there's like these little safe zones where you get a bit more of the story filled in. You can buy new outfits with the stars that you earn, depending on how well you do in the level. If you die, then you can just start from the checkpoint as well. But obviously, the more times you die, the worse your score will be. And I've not played it all the way through yet. I've played a couple of the levels. My only quite big concern is it's a bit of a mess in parts in terms of performance. So it's not just simply running from left to right and you're looking straight at it. The camera will move and there'll be different angles, but there's a horrendous amount of lag in some of the sequences. So there's one point where it's a bit Indiana Jones, where a massive boulder comes down and starts chasing you, and from some of the camera angles the lag was unreal, or the character will kind of glitch out so you couldn't really see them. They were that close to the screen, they would kind of disappear. And then I had one instance where I was playing a level that was underground, and sometimes the characters split off, so you have to remember which one to control with which buttons, and then they come back. But when they came back, only one character was visible on the screen, so I was trying to figure out how to make sure the other one got through the obstacles, even though he was basically invisible. So I've checked for some updates, and there's nothing yet. And it's not game breaking or anything, but I have had to restart the level a couple of times because I couldn't. There was one bit where I slid rather than jumped over an obstacle thinking I'd die, but I didn't. I went through the graphics and endlessly was running in like a dark void and had to restart the game. So yeah, there's a few issues there. But from what I've played, I have enjoyed. I just hope that I don't encounter too many more.
Right, good. Yeah, there you go. Aerial Knights, We Never Yield. I think we took the mick out of that until Richard told us it was good.
I will not be included in that.
No.
Taking the mick, thank you. Speak for yourself.
No, good. I have been playing a game called Nobody Wants to Die. Now, this is a game that I was really intrigued in. I think it's done a couple of video circuits just by how it looks. It's kind of released mid-July in this busy time. I'm scared that it's going to disappear. I hope it doesn't, because it doesn't deserve that. It's very good. So Nobody Wants to Die is set in the future, a couple of centuries in the future, but it's very much like a film noir, cyberpunky feel to it. You're in sort of New York at that time, but everyone has a sort of 1940s vibe to it in terms of you drive these sort of 1940s vehicles that obviously fly, and they're all like modern, but they've still got that 1940s version. The buildings that you look at, they've still got that kind of like Art Deco-y kind of feel to them as well. So it reminds me a lot of BioShock in a sense as well, and that's really kind of a good comparison. But you're in this kind of like first-person adventure. You play detective. Who's been suspended at the moment because he was involved in a sort of big incident where his partner was killed, and that's where the story starts off. But in this world, the premise is that everyone really has the chance of immortality. So if you die, I forgot what they call it in the game, but you're basically your thoughts are downloaded into a server and they can go into another body. But of course, being this kind of like capitalist world, it's whether you can afford the proper body to go into your next kind of life and what that might be. So you might, if you're very rich, you might have the perfect kind of 19-year-old body that you'll go into and start again. But if you're a bit broke, you might get sort of second-hand bodies, and if you've got a young body and suddenly you're on bad times, you can rent your body out and you'll go into a body that is nearly dying. Or the problem with the detective, he's got a body that I think was a kind of drug addict, so he's having to take these pills to try to stop this body he's in, his tendencies to kind of like want to be very ill and suffering. So and he's on his sort of like third body. So he's about 130 years old. His wife has died, we don't know quite, but he's sort of seeing the ghost of his wife. And then he goes on this kind of like a top kind of like founder of all this, basically, who set it all up, dies. It's sort of like hanging from a tree, which he gets sent to. And it looks like a suicide, but of course there's much more darkness and Darren, we go on this kind of like detective's journey of a serial killer, and it's very much like a little bit kind of very quite linear on the first person. You know, you're not going around in an open world exploring this very amazingly stunning world, but what it is a detective thing. So you basically going into an area, and then you're having to work out what's happened. And you've got a number of devices that will help you on that. And one of the big devices is kind of reconstructing the scene, where you can try to reconstruct memories of the scene, bits of it, and then you can fast forward and rewind to try to work out what happened. And if you find the right spot, that would lead you on to extra more of the scene or more clues of that scene. So you'll start to build the whole picture over a period of time. And then you have other things like an X-ray machine, so you can kind of go into the walls and you find out, say we're electrical to a safe where the electrical generator is, that maybe you can switch off. You've got a UV light, so you can work out blood splatters and where they go, which might lead to more clues or footprints or things like that. The detective side of it is excellent. It's really good fun. If people who've sort of played maybe the Sherlock game, that has a little bit of elements from that as well. So it has that kind of like, you really are trying to place together a crime scene, look for everything and work out what's happened. And I mean, that's kind of the main core of the gameplay. You kind of go into 3 or 4 scenes and trying to work what happened. And then you get to sort of bit after each scene when you've got all these clues and you've got to place them, you've got to put them together in a kind of like, from like an evidence board, but it's on the floor and put together the order of events. And it has a kind of overarching story between the main detective and this person who's helping him out. First of all, Dish on the radio, who's another young police detective who they become very friendly with and then they meet up. So it's a really interesting, brilliant voiceover, really great story, great world. From a kind of very, I think, newish development team, it's a really impressive title. I loved it. I really had it. It's short. It took me 5 hours maybe to complete, but I think it's only $17.99, which is I would give that a go. And I gave it a 4.5, but I don't know why I didn't give it a 5. I gave it 4. I think maybe some people might find it too on the rails. It's too linear for some people, and I think that's why I did that. I was a bit thin. I should have done it for 5 because I really enjoyed it. There you go.
It sounds brilliant. Did you ever play Observer? Because it sounds like
yes, that's really good. I wish you were around and I could have put that in its review. Yeah, as a comparison. But yeah, you're absolutely right. That's a really good comparison. I forgot about that. Yeah, exactly that. And that looked amazing as well, didn't it?
Yeah, the X, they did it for the Series X, didn't they? Like a remaster or something.
Yeah. Yes, very much like that. I wonder if it's the same people. But yeah, has that kind of... Yeah, it's great. If you love that, that's a really good one to get. I think it's really good. Really, really good.
The kind of mechanic where the body sounds like altered carbon. Did you ever watch that as well on Netflix?
Oh, yeah.
Where they can, they called them sleeves, didn't they? Where they could upload into new bodies. Yeah, very cyberpunky.
Yeah. I really like the idea that you can't afford certain bits and you have to go to subscription, you have to pay, and you're in debt really to that. So it's a really it's a great kind of bit of world building. Good, there you go. Nobody Wants to Die. I've got to the Cyberpunk DLC. You'll be pleased to know at last after 40 hours. So I'm sort of diving into that. I'm really enjoying that. I'll be playing that game after Christmas, I think. God. Good, let's do some news. Now, it's still quite slow, but bits are coming in. Do you want some breaking news today?
Go on.
Yes,
hit us. Stalker 2 has been delayed, but not too worried. It's been delayed till November the 20th instead of September the 5th as previously planned. The developer said, "We know you must be tired of waiting. We truly appreciate patience. These 2 additional months will give us a chance to fix more unexpected anomalies." What do you think? What do you think about that? It's our first delay. We were talking about this last week. We're going to get some delays, and we got our first one. We normally get 4 or 5 games get pushed back, don't they? What do you think, Richard? Sorry, Darren, you go first. Yeah.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Sorry. I was just going to say, I remember us talking about September being really busy as well, so it might not be a bad thing to space it out and have something in November. And if we've waited this long, as you say, It's not that much longer, so I think it's probably a good shout if they need more time.
I think it's a good shout. I think there could be a little bit of a go. Let's move it. Let's move it into because like September's mad, and yeah, let's move it into a little bit more of an empty period. November, maybe we've got Assassin's Creed coming out then, but I don't think that affects it too much. But yeah, Richard, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, if there's ever going to be a developer that you'd forgive for delaying a game, it's this GSC Game World. I think is the full title, with everything that they've had to go through, moving up in sticks from the Ukraine, with everything that's going on there. Obviously, I don't think anyone can have any complaints about another 3-month delay. I thought the video that they did was very tongue in cheek and quite funny. But yeah, I mean, that video showcased a little glimpse of how it's going to look, and it looks phenomenal.
Yeah.
There's also they've planned a dev diary, I think, on the 12th of August as well, so we should get a better look at it there. But yeah, no issues from me at all.
Yeah, good. It's good. Like you said, also it's this year, it's this autumn, so it feels good. Now, who wants to talk to me about the Assassin's Creed news? Explain to me what's going on here. I don't understand it.
I was going to ask you, Gareth.
Oh my God! What have they done? Anyone know? What have they done wrong? They've done something bad, and we've got to work it out.
I think people are complaining because is it Yasuke, the main guy? Because it's dual protagonists.
Yeah.
He's a black guy.
Right.
And people are upset that it's a Japanese feudal Assassin's Creed, which people have wanted for ages. And then they're claiming that it's all woke because one of them is a black guy. But he's based on a real life character.
Yeah.
But I don't know who they were in real life.
Right.
So it just seems people moaning again. The internet doing what it does best.
Okay, right. So they're saying when this is your first time in the Japanese, and you've not had 2 Japanese protagonists as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And there was something else they've done as well. Didn't they have something in one of the demos or something that was they nicked from somewhere or something, like a logo or something?
They nicked a logo from some. I claimed that it was a coincidence in one of the trailers.
Right.
But it was a logo of a company, a real life company, I believe.
Wow. Okay. Well, there you go.
That's perhaps a little less forgivable.
Yeah. Yeah.
But this thing, it's a non-issue being blown out of proportion. I mean, that's what I gather from it.
Right.
You probably know a little bit better than me, Gareth, I hope.
I don't at all. I don't know anything. I've forgotten. I haven't looked at it. I just thought there was something like lots going on with Assassin's Creed. But yeah, I don't. I'm not going to look at anything until it comes out. Tekken 8. I don't know. You can talk about this. I don't know who this is, what these people are.
Well, put it this way. You've just been on about jumping from bodies to bodies in Nobody Wants to Die. But in Tekken 8, nobody does die. The amount of times that Heihachi, his grandson Jin, and the other one I can't remember the name of, Kazuya, I think? No, can't remember. Anyway, they've all been thrown off cliffs at some point, at varying points throughout the Tekken saga, and have all managed to come back to life. And now Heihachi, who was supposedly dead, even dead for a Tekken game dead, is coming back as DLC, and I think it's bringing additional story elements to explain how you can be thrown off a cliff multiple times and still survive.
Right.
But I think I put it in because people are sort of again complaining that one of the main antagonists for the series is a DLC character this time.
Yeah. That makes sense. If you like Tekken. You like Tekken, don't you, Richard?
I do, but I I was under the impression that Tekken 7 was the end of the Mishima saga, so Tekken 8 was going to be like a brand new revamp, and it wasn't. Tekken 8 was supposedly the end, and now they've just brought back another dead character, and it's like, it's never going to end, is it?
No, it's like Mortal Kombat did this. No, the reboot. They rebooted, didn't they?
Yeah, they've had 2 reboots recently, and they're still the same people, still the same issues.
Right, there you go. Okay, so that's it. We'll see. How do you say his name?
Heihachi.
Yeah, guy. Good. We'll see what people think when he comes out. Darren, I'm going to put this over to you. Halo, the Paramount Plus TV show, has been cancelled after 2 seasons. What do you have you watched it first, Darren? I watched the first season. I watched the second one.
I did. I felt like I had to. I mean, some elements I liked, some elements I really didn't get on with. So I thought season 2 was marginally better than season 1. They tried to pick up the pace a little bit because season 1 was very slow. And season 2 ended with them actually, spoiler alert, with them actually landing on the ring from the first Halo game. But it didn't happen in the way it happened in the game, of course. But yeah, apparently it's been cancelled at Paramount Plus, but the developers, the producers are looking to find it a new home. So whether it will, we don't really know, because they do want to make a 3rd season, and it is very much set up for a 3rd season at the end of the second one. Because they did reach in the second one, and it wasn't too bad. There were some elements that were really good, I think, for what they did. But at the same time, I think a lot of people have been maybe harshly reacting, saying things like, writing articles like Halo has been cancelled and this is why it should never be picked up again and stuff like that. So I don't think it's going to be missed, if I'm being honest. But I wasn't expecting it either, because I wasn't expecting it to get a 2nd season. So I thought, oh, right there, well, they must be kind of seeing it out for a few seasons. But yeah, it's had the axe.
It's interesting, isn't it? It's really interesting about... I mean, I watched the first season of Halo. I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. I thought it's a nice bits to it. And, it wasn't all brilliant, but it was good. It was good. And I, for some reason, I haven't watched season 2. I think I just got rid of Paramount Plus, actually, so that's probably why as well. And it was something... It's interesting what games are successful as TV shows. What are the most successful ones? We've got, obviously, The Last of Us. That's the most recent. Fallout. Yeah.
I think some games lend themselves better to films where it can be more compact and like big action blockbusters like Halo. To stretch it out over a TV series, I think, is very difficult. Because in the first season, I remember thinking the first episode was like a bit of a bang and there was some battles, and then there wasn't really a lot of action. And then season 2 tried to remedy that by pivoting basically straight into the Reach story from the prequel game. But then there was a long time where, because they decided to show his face early on, and then there was a long time where he didn't even have his Spartan armor on, and he was just kind of kicking about, and I was thinking, it's not really what people probably want from it. So I think it's difficult in this format to do a game like an FPS, whereas Fallout, Last of Us, you can slow it down, tell more of a story, and it's more kind of, that post-apocalyptic, almost borderline horror. It fits the narrative better, I think. It fits the genre better.
And maybe you've got, like you just said, you've got characters and you've got stories in that place. I mean, Fallout does it really well. And it's funny as well. It has the funny and the humour of Fallout, the game, I think, probably. And it does a well of, focusing on these kind of like 3 people on a journey, really. And I think The Last of Us probably has that. Last of Us followed the sort of season, the first game's premise all the way through, but it went off a little bit a few times, which is great, into different characters. And that characters help, but I think you're right when you said it's really hard to get an FPS game as a TV series. Sorry, Richard, what were you going to say?
But no, I think you just hit the nail on the head, though, there, with like Fallout and The Last of Us. They take the game as the source material and expand on the lore that's already in place. Like if Halo just does its own thing, at times what I saw of it, it's barely even what you would consider traditional Halo. And I think that's where the difference is that, yes, these games are successful, and bringing them to TV or to film to a new audience is the way to go about it. But the reason they're successful is because they've got that lore and the story already in place. Just expand on that. Don't feel like you need to take a game, do your own spin on it, because it's not what the fans of the game are going to want, are they? If I'm watching a TV show based on a game, I want a retelling of what I played. I don't want something completely different.
Yeah. But also at the same time, you want to be able to drag new people into that. So I could get Bernadette, and I could go, I think you should give Fallout this a go, because I think, and then I kind of persuaded you into it, and instantly she went, oh yeah, this is interesting, this is fun. I don't think I'm not going to do it with Halo. I couldn't get her into Halo.
No, but I think that's the point, because Halo, Last of Us and Fallout have successful stories. So no matter what as long as you sort of keep in that lane with the adaptation for TV, people are going to enjoy it still.
Yeah.
It's the proof's already there. It's a successful game. Last of Us is considered one of the greatest games of all time because it's got that story already. So it's a no-brainer that it would work in a different medium.
And you're right, because the Halo story is quite linear. It's mostly just blowing stuff up and shooting the Covenant in the face. So you have to have more of a substantial story to carry it over an 8-episode series. And I found some of the newer characters, I found myself going, I don't care about you. And I go back to, I used to have this argument with my friends when we were younger, when the Resident Evil films started coming out, and they were like, oh, this is all right. I said, I'd rather there's enough in the game to tell a really good story, because it's a slower kind of horror thing. And I thought the films were just, a load of crap, basically. Apart from the first one was okay. Yeah. And then they just got absolutely ridiculous. And I remember going to see the third one in the cinema, and I very nearly walked out, because I was like, this is crazy. What have they done to Wesker? So I think you're absolutely right, Richard. It depends on what story's there and how you expand on it, and maybe learn something a little bit new, not just completely change the story. Because just make an original story, original film, if that's the case. Don't use that IP.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm just sort of looking now at kind of like reminding myself of TV series that have come out, like you said, Resident Evil into games. And I mean, the one we haven't said is The Witcher. I think that's probably been the first series of that, probably is been quite successful.
Yeah, I never really watched that. I watched the first few and then left right into it, but I never really played the game properly, so that's probably why.
And I think probably another one, a good mention for that, is the League of Legends, which kind of does its. I think again, you don't have the Arcane League of Legends, which came on Netflix, the animation one. I watched that, and I knew nothing about League of Legends, and it's beautifully done and really well performed. I thought that was a good thing, and they're doing one more season, and that's it. But apart from that, that's it really.
They've got
Twisted Metal.
Tomb Raider coming up.
No,
I've not watched that.
No. Yeah, it's interesting though, isn't it? It is interesting, but yeah, I can't see in this climate someone picking up Halo. I'd be wrong, but it's expensive, isn't it? It's like, and if you feel like, they cancelled that for a reason, and no one's watching it, you're not gonna.
Yeah, it's difficult, isn't it?
Yeah. There we go. Paramount, that's good. That's gone. We've had another sort of like Humble Games have closed their doors, haven't they? Reportedly being closed. Humble Games have done. I think they've got a game out at the moment, haven't they? They definitely had one. I think Paul might be reviewing. Kind of little indie games, kind of interesting. They did sort of things like Forager. I think I reviewed one of those. The Night Market one recently, which I quite enjoyed. So that's gone. That's really sad. Another kind of place gone. But let's move on. Let's not dwell on poor redundancy and thing. Poor them though. Interesting. It's an interesting thing. I just want to sort of chat about this for briefly. The people behind the Warframe the boss of it, says, he said, big publishers eject too soon from live service titles. It comes out, it doesn't work, and they throw it away. So they've been talking about, which is a big kind of one, games like Anthem, Knockout City, which is the EA I completely forgot about, and probably a little bit hinting towards Suicide Squad, which hasn't done well, has it? I don't know how long that will go on for. They're still doing stuff for it. They've just done another season 2, but it's an interesting thing, isn't it? It's an interesting statement saying, we've talked about it on here, is live service of people, is it working still? Is it a thing that's working? Is it a thing that, is he right? Do people need to just keep with it? I'm putting you two on the spot here.
I think he makes an interesting point, but also Warframe was one of the first examples of it, so they were in there before everyone else started jumping on the bandwagon, which is probably why Warframe's still successful, because it'll have that loyal fan base of people that still play it. People that enjoy live service games are probably diluted across too many different titles as well now, which is also the issue. I think Suicide Squad, we all called it a while back, was doomed to fail. And I don't like saying it because Rocksteady have put out some brilliant games, but the amount of time they took with it, and then they put that big presentation out and no one really liked it, and then they went back and delayed it. And yeah, that's a sad story from that. But whether they do eject too early, I don't know. I don't know. You see, because you could sort of say, well, Suicide Squad have just put the Joker out in there, and they're sticking to their guns, and fair play to them, because they could have easily just put it out as is and moved on quickly to something else.
Yeah. I mean, I think the difference as well between Warframe was free from the beginning.
Yeah, I think that helps as well.
Yeah, and they made their money, I suppose, from the other stuff, and that feels. I mean, that's what Fortnite did, didn't it? Fortnite was free, and they made their money from just all the skins and stuff.
Fortnite's different. Fortnite was a very different game, and then saw the success of PUBG and quickly implemented a battle royale mode, and it just overtook everything else.
Yeah, but it's still free, and you could, that's it. And so it's about paying 60, 70 quid for a live service game.
And then a battle pass.
Yeah, and then that on top is tricky, isn't it? Yeah,
I have a few issues with this. I think I'd like to know what he means when he says they have a financial way to be persistent and they never do it. What is that? Is that charging players more? Is that just putting more money into it? Because he talks about the releases make or break, and if the numbers don't work or it doesn't work, if the numbers don't come, then they leave. But if you're developing a game that is based around player numbers and you need player numbers for it to be successful, then that's probably a fair metric to judge it on. And I think Richard's right. There are so many different options now, free and paid, that if you see it doesn't work in the early days, how long do you really put money in if you can see players are off playing so many of the competitors? So I feel like it's, in principle, he's not wrong, but I think in the reality of the market, it's maybe a bit naive. I think if your player numbers are dropping off a cliff, like let's say, I don't know, Payday 3, for example, how long do you pour money into it and try and turn it around before we go, okay, we've tried, this is not working, we're going to have to exit and do something else?
Yeah. Or do you, or are they saying we just keep going with it, and you'll get it back eventually? You'll get those players.
Hit and hope, though, isn't it, strategy?
Well, I suppose in a sense, Sea of Thieves when it came out, but Sea of Thieves did really well, didn't it? People did buy it, but it got reviewed really badly, didn't it? And people were not reviewed badly. That's unfair. It was like getting 60s and people saying this isn't what we thought it was going to be, and then they added more and more to it, and then people love it now. It's like it's a huge game.
Yeah. Same too with No Man's Sky. That
Oh,
came out to
yeah.
middling reviews.
Yeah.
It's just had its best received update ever.
Yeah,
and it's
people
now
love it.
Yeah, so I think for every failure there is a success story there.
That goes back to what you're saying there, Richard. Whereas those two games probably came out at a similar time to Warframe in 2013. They've been around for a while, haven't they?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I bought a PS4. PS4 just for No Man's Sky.
Yeah. So maybe they've had more time to. Nowadays, maybe the market is really saturated, so you have to react quicker. I don't know. It's interesting though. It's not my favourite type of game, but there are so many people who love them.
It depends what I think it depends what the two games we just said there. No Man's Sky is you've got that. You could play No Man's Sky on your own and not really meet anyone. That it gave it a unique feel to it. I kind of love that. I love the fact that when I first played No Man's Sky, the chances of meeting someone was quite rare. And if you did, it was like, oh my god! And then they did the updates, and then you got hubs when you're seeing people all the time, and people can co-op and all that stuff. But originally, it was like you might not see anyone else, and occasionally you do it. I love that idea, and I think it's like looking about with Hello Games and their new idea about the Earth, the size of the Earth planet, which is going to be it's going to be a whole multiplayer thing, isn't it? Of everyone inhabiting one big planet, isn't it? That's a new one. I've forgotten the name of that. Things like that, you've got to push it rather than. I think it's got to be more exciting. But something that a game comes out and you can go, well, you can buy this skin, and you can change your character to that. I don't know if that what's that? Because it, like you said, there are games that have done that and successfully done that. So why are you just copying the same thing?
Well, the people behind Concord came out and said there's going to be no season pass, didn't they, as well? They said there was a quote as something like, you own the game doesn't own you, which I thought was a very succinct way of putting it. I very much subscribe to that way of thinking. Yeah.
Well, we'll see what happens with live service, but interesting comment. I can't think what else is coming out. Like you said, Concord. I can't remember anything coming out in the autumn, a big live service game. Probably loads of them, but I can't think of any. Good, gentlemen. I think that's it for us today. But let's talk about what we're looking forward to next week. Richard, what are you looking forward to?
I think Darren and I spoke about this before, but the original Spider-Man, all the Spider-Man films are going to be shown again in cinemas, and it starts next week with the OG Spider-Man, Tobey Maguire. So I've got tickets to that and Spider-Man 2, but not Spider-Man 3.
Wise choice. I can't watch him dance down the street again. I don't think.
Wow. Okay. Is that your favourite Spider-Man then? Tobey Maguire?
No, I think Spider-Man 2 is still one of the best superhero films of all time.
So good.
It's just perfect.
Absolutely agree.
Okay, good. Back in the cinema for that. What about you, Dan?
So tonight we're going to see Deadpool and Wolverine, which is released. I think it's the first Marvel film I've been actually quite excited for in a long time. So, and it's I haven't seen any spoilers somehow, because there's rumours of loads of cameos, and it's going to bring the Fox universe together, and it's going to be like a reboot of the MCU. So I'm just going to go in and see what happens. But I do like the Deadpool film, so I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, that should be really good fun. Let us know what you think of the Deadpool film next time you see us. I'm looking forward to that. I'm not going to cinema now. I can't do the cinema anymore. I'm too old. People annoy me too much. I'll be annoyed. Right, gentlemen, thank you so much. We're going to see you soon, and hopefully we'll get some more gaming. It's a quiet summer, isn't it? Not of games to play.
Games come out.
Yeah, that's going to be very soon. Yeah, let's see.
We'll see.
Darren, Richard, thank you, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
You've been listening to the official podcast of TheXboxHub.com. You'll be able to find all the notes of this show at www.TheXboxHub.com/podcast. You can also check out our social feeds on Instagram and Twitter at The Xbox Hub, and search for The Xbox Hub on Facebook.